According to Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's is the sixth leading cause of death in the United States. Hello, my name is Turmell, and today I'm going to talk to you about Alzheimer's disease. I will also tell you a little about the disease itself, about whom it affects, medications, caregiving, and a personal experience I have with the disease. According to Alzheimer's Foundation of America, Alzheimer's disease dates back to 1906 when Dr. Alois Alzheimer, a German physician, presented a case history before a medical meeting of a 51-year-old woman who suffered from a rare brain disorder. A brain autopsy eventually identified the plaques and tangles that today characterize Alzheimer's disease. It is a progressive degenerative disorder that attacks the nerve cells and affects memory, language, and behavior. Specifically, there are two types of abnormal lesions that clog the brain of individuals with Alzheimer's. Beta-amyloid plaques, which are sticky clumps of protein fragments and cellular materials from outside and around the neurons, and neurofibrillary tangles, which are insoluble twisted fibers composed largely of the protein tau that build up inside nerve cells. Although these structures are hallmarks of the disease, but according to the Foundation, scientists are unclear whether they cause or are a byproduct of the disease. Now that you know a bit about the disease, let's go into whom it affects and some of the medications. Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia, making 60 to 80% of cases. Most of these cases are in the ages of 65 years or older, but it has been known to strike those as young as 40. These younger cases usually happen when taking care of a loved one who has Alzheimer's already. But whether you are 65 or 40, being diagnosed with the disease is devastating, especially because there is no cure. And there are a few medications that can keep the symptoms at bay. Aricept, Exelon, Razidine, and Cognex. These help the cognitive symptoms, but not the emotional symptoms. The next thing after medication is having a caregiver. The Alzheimer's Association states in 2012, 15.4 million family and friend provided 17.5 billion hours of unpaid care to those with Alzheimer's and other dementia. Care valued at 216.4 billion, which is more than 8 times the total of McDonald's in 2011. 80% of care provided in the community is provided by unpaid caregivers, and that 15% of them are long distance. Being a caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's can be stressful, emotional time. Family members can be difficult, rude, and even downright mean. This brings me to my own personal experience with Alzheimer's. When I was 14, my great-grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It had already progressed quite a bit. My grandparents lived in Texas and traveled to take care of her, but she needed live-in care. So my mother moved us in the house. It started off that we just needed to assist her in everyday chores, but then it progressed. We started to have to feed her, bathe her, and make her take her medications. She really didn't like that one. She always called my mom by my grandmother's name, Bobby, and she called me by the lady's name that she grew up with, Martha. I remember getting really frustrated and mad that she didn't remember us. I didn't understand why, but soon I came to an understanding. She could be mean and never wanted our help, even though she could no longer do anything herself. We eventually hospitalized her, and when they told us the end was near, the family gathered to say goodbye. It was a really sad time. But in her last hours, she was completely lucid. She remembered our names and even shared in some family stories. I guess you could say it was a gift to her, to us, to remember her by. She was a wonderful lady, and I will always remember her and love her. I hope that y'all learned a little bit about Alzheimer's disease. I talked about, what it's made up of and the neurons, and I also talked about some medications, some caregiving, and I gave you a little bit of a personal history of my experience with it. I hope that y'all might have gotten something out of this, and I hope you'll have a wonderful day.